Good morning, YouTubers. Good morning, Arsenal fans. Neomis here. Now, I want to talk about the situation with Arsenal. Obviously, we know yesterday, Sunday, Arsenal went up against Man City. They lost 1-0. And I haven't put out a video in a while in terms of Arsenal. As a matter of fact, it's been about 4 days. And you might not think that that's a long time. But with everything that's going on with Arsenal, like I had to give myself a bit of a break from the draw that we had last week, Thursday, that feels like a loss, and then the loss that we had yesterday evening against Man City, 1-0, Arsenal loss, which again, even though it was a loss, that I would have expected, that I've talked about in previous videos, the one thing that I just did not understand is we didn't even play well in losing. And I know people are probably thinking, like, how do you play well and lose? And if Arsenal was to lose that game 3-0 but played well, I see it as there were more positives to look at if that would have been the case. But with a 1-0 loss, I didn't see anything. I mean, Arsenal concede a goal in the first 90 seconds of the game. Appalling defending. Tierney gets beat by Mahrez, who allows him to get the cross. How in the hell does Raheem Sterling get into the box, and not just get into the box, but get into the box and score with a header? Raheem Sterling is a munchkin. He's tiny. He's 5'7", and he gets a header in between Holding and Bellerin. Like, what is happening there? How is he being allowed to get into the box? That's the fault of the midfield. That's El Nene and Xhaka's fault. And then on top of that, Holding, you've got to get to that. You've got to clear that. And he doesn't. And Sterling gets an easy header within 90 seconds. That tells you everything. That tells you, from minute one, the mentality just wasn't there. Now, I've had time to think about everything, gather my thoughts, do a little additional reading on some of the things that other players have said. And Pepe came out and he said that there's a real problem with Arsenal in terms of concentration. Well, I mean, if you're not concentration from minute one, then what the hell? Like, if that is how it is, Arsenal are in a state right now that we don't even realize. You got Mikel Arteta, he came out and said that concentration wasn't there, that we didn't perform at their best. That I saw another quote from him saying online that said that he blamed himself, that the players didn't execute the tactics properly. Well, I couldn't see any tactics, like, whatsoever. Did not see them one bit. When I looked at ratings, I gave my ratings on the watch along, and I gave everyone 3s except for Aubameyang and Leno, and I gave Leno a 6 and Aubameyang a 1 because he's our captain. Terrible performance. And then when you look at some of the ratings some of the other websites and apps have given, and I've got some here on SofaScore, and I'm seeing 6s for Bellerin, a 7 for Rob Holding, another 6 for Mari, 6 for Tierney, 6 for Leno. Pepe gets a 6, Odegaard gets a 6. Like, it's just not realistic. The way how we played was awful. And if you watched it on Sky Sports, if you are in the UK, you heard the commentary after the game from Jamie Redknapp, from Alex Scott, talking about the way how in which we played, because that's the most important thing. I can accept a loss if, we play at an adequate level. Our play was shocking. Like, there was no fight there, no want. And you have to say, it all starts from the manager. The way how the manager, not even setting the team up, in my opinion, but certain decisions to play certain players in certain positions. Pepe on the right, why? Saka on the left, why? Saka has been phenomenal on the right-hand side. Pepe, even though he hasn't been phenomenal, he's been much better on the left. Why was Pepe playing out on the right? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, these are the explanations that I need. Saka, why is he starting out on the left? Not to say that he does a bad job on the left, but he's been far better on the right. Wouldn't you want to continue that? Like, I really wish I could get Mikel Arteta to answer these questions for us. Kieran Tierney. Now, Tierney didn't have a great game. He was probably one of the best of the bunch. Put in a lot of effort, and that's what you saw from the likes of Tierney. You saw it from Xhaka and Saka. You saw effort there. Like, I think that they tried to some extent, but without very little output. But Tierney clearly doesn't look 100%. I'm saying this right now. He's probably more like 80%, 85%. He is not at 100%. We are risking damaging our players on the long term. Like, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. Odegaard, he dropped Smith Rowe. I actually agree with that. Smith Rowe should be dropped. Not because he had a bad performance in the previous game, but just because you want Smith Rowe to be rested. Now, this is Odegaard's, third game? But he also has got to improve. He went missing throughout the game. Yeah, it's still early on, but so far, he needs to improve massively. Alex Scott on Sky Sports said that he looks bang average. And I would have to somewhat agree with that. And you just have to hope he improves. He needs to get assists. I said it this season. If he could get 2 goals and 2 assists, I think that's like the bare minimum. But a player of his notoriety, of his stature, you're expecting to get maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 assists throughout this half season. Especially when you think of the amount of games that Arteta is going to play him in. And you could believe Arteta is going to play him in a lot of games. And if he's not coming up off the bench, he's going to be starting. Definitely going to be starting. The midfield, I want to talk about. Xhaka and El Nene. Terrible combination. And if you don't realise, the reasons why for this is Xhaka and El Nene too slow, and that's not their fault. That's just your natural ability. It's not like there are players that are overweight and they struggle to get around. They just don't have the legs to be able to get around the pitch quick enough. They get turned very easily, and that Man City midfield was incredible, but it was just so often they weren't picking things up. Where's the balance? Like, put some speed and strength in there. Find a way, Arteta. And I just feel that Arteta just sticks to what he knows. And this has been my criticism of Arteta. At no point this season have I been Arteta out. And I think it's probably going to be a while before I get there. But there are a lot of red flags saying, hey, like, what are you doing? And yesterday's game completely summarised that for me. I looked at the players and the way how they played, and you have to say that Mikel Arteta had 1.5 eyes on that Benfica game on Thursday. Like, there was almost no tactics in this game, and it was like the players knew that was the case. They knew that Thursday they would have to be focusing on, and it was like, well, this game isn't important, like, we're just not going to be trying. And I know I'm coming from a football fan's perspective because that's how we feel. And to be honest, that's still how I feel. But I'm watching that game and I'm thinking, like, what is this? Like, this is unmotivating to watch. I know Arsenal fans that didn't even watch the game. Like, they didn't even want to know. They just put it as a loss and was just like, nah, I'm done. We can't keep doing this. We have to be showing up in games. The team that I love that does this every time, that shows up, no matter a win, no matter a loss, is Leeds. Leeds United. You could believe it, no matter if they win or lose, even when they played against us, they never gave up. Never gave up. They still kept fighting to the end. And that's something that we don't have. When we lose, our players stop performing or they stop trying. Aubameyang. Oh, our captain. He's guilty of this so many times. If we're playing badly, he gets demoralized. He stops trying, stops playing. You're the captain, the leader, the one who drives us forward. He should be the one where the players, the fans are looking to for inspiration to say, try to make things happen. And I get it, you can't do everything, but just your sheer effort and will alone should be enough to try to drive players to want to do better. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case against Man City. Now, I know the people that are going to disagree with me are probably saying, well, Neomis, it was only a 1-0 loss. Normally, we get beaten by City 3-0. I don't care. Because even in those games, large part of those games, we always look like we try. We try, but the sheer quality of Man City always permeates. But I watched a team yesterday that did not show up. Just acted like there was a training ground game. That almost gave up before the start of the game. And if it wasn't for Man City, in my opinion, showing some respect for us, deciding that they wasn't actually going to put us to the sword. And to be honest, they weren't clinical themselves because they really could have scored about 3 or 4 goals. But nevertheless, tough game for Arsenal, for the Arsenal players. A game that fans will want to forget. I'm so glad that we don't have to face Man City again this season. And we just have to say that we got to look on Thursday. Thursday we got Benfica. And I'll put my 2 cents on this right now. You know what? Yeah, instead of doing a video in a few days talking about the Benfica game, I'll put that right now. It's very simple. It's a must-win. I don't think Arsenal's defence is good enough to whereby we can hold a quality side like Benfica to a 0-0 draw. So it is imperative that we come out all guns blazing. Absolutely attacking, scoring goals left, right and centre. That means Aubameyang, get your shooting boots on, because those several chances that you missed in the previous game, you cannot do that on Thursday. Fans like me right now are dependent on the Europa League. This season, I'm telling you this, all Arsenal fans, this is the best that we could possibly hope for to win the Europa League. I said at the start of this season, this Premier League season has turned out to be even more competitive than what I would ever have imagined. West Ham in the top 4, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, they're all outside the top 4. And to be honest, that could be 5, 6, and 7th. Those teams, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs, could all be in the Europa League next season. That would be wow, mind blowing. Who would have ever thought that? It is important that we win the Europa League, or else next season, Arsenal fans, we won't even be in Europe. Nevertheless, Champions League. No Europe at all. And I do not want that to start to set a trend. We have a chance to turn things around. We know what we need to do. We managed to get an away goal, great. But we have to defend well. David Luiz can't be making mistakes, and I do think David Luiz will play on Thursday with Gabriel in defence. You expect Tierney will probably play because Arteta's kind of rushed him back. And you just have to hope that we come out and perform. If we perform, we'll beat Benfica. Even if we'll beat him. But honestly, we will beat him. There's no doubts about it. I don't see us drawing against Benfica. even the goal that they scored came from a penalty that was, yes, it was at fault by Smith Rowe. Yeah, you know, arm was raised up. Like, you can't do that. And even though he has his back trying to block it, you just can't do that. They offered nothing. But if Benfica show up on Thursday, we've got a fight on our hands. That's why it's so important that we have to score. We have to score and we have to win. Now, I'm going with a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. This is Arsenal's time to shine, and I just hope the players just don't let me down. So, come on, Arsenal, it's time to bounce back. You had a draw against Benfica last week, Thursday, that felt like a loss. You lost against City. You cannot lose against Benfica again. Cannot lose against Benfica. So, those are my thoughts on everything that's going on with Arsenal right now. I know this is a bit of a long video, but I just had to get everything out. For me, we have to improve. Because if we don't beat Benfica, I could honestly say our season is over. And that, you know, we should just need to start looking at what we need to be doing for next season. Whether it being transfers or players in, players out. So leave your comments below on all your thoughts on the Benfica game coming up. The previous Benfica game last week, Thursday, and against Man City. Do leave your comments below. Check out my next video, which is in the link within the comments, as well as a link in the end screen, as you can see somewhere about here right now. So I will see you on that video.